During my 10-year sentence in the feds, I was transferred from Federal Correctional Institution Victorville in Southern California to FCI Lompoc on the Central California coast. It's also known as New Alcatraz because that's where they transferred all the convicts when the original Alcatraz was closed in 1963. After I arrived to Lompoc, I changed out into my khaki suit and hit the yard. I was pleased to run into a few homies, Southsiders I had done time with in other joints. Among them was Ray Ray from Carnales. The homie practiced Santeria, and one day he invited me to their service at the chapel. Out of curiosity, I went along. There's not much to do in prison, so I thought, what the hell, I ain't got nothing else to do. I would join him and go check it out. I was always curious about what they believed in. When we got there, the service was already underway. When me and Ray Ray walked in, the santero or brujo that was running the service stopped what he was doing and just stared at me for a moment. He looked at me and said, "Muchacho, a ti te gusta la oscuridad," which in English means, "Son, you like to be in the darkness." He continued, "You don't like the sunlight coming into your home. You feel more comfortable when the skies are gray. Your dear grandmother has passed on to the next life, but she's always watching over you. When you were on the streets, you were shot and almost died in a fire that was near the ocean. Sometimes when you bend over or when you stand up, you get dizzy. But today, we're going to take care of all that and put an end to it." From my observation, it seemed like every time he got a piece of information about me, he leaned to the left, as if though something was whispering to him in his ear. He had me mesmerized. I was intrigued. How did this man know so many things about me when I've never met him in my life? I remember him making me stand over some jars of water while he prayed over me in a strange tongue. After he finished praying over me, he told me to symbolically remove all the bad energy from my body, starting from the top of my head down to the soles of my feet, in a sweeping motion, as if I was undressing myself from some invisible garments covering my body. After I symbolically removed all of this bad juju, he had me shake everything I was removing with my hands over these glass jars full of water, as if I was tossing and shaking that dark energy into the jars. He then had me go and dump these glass jars of water outside in the dirt. That night I had a dream. I dreamt that I was in the abandoned shack that me and the homies used to hang out in when we were youngsters in the alley on 16th Street. This shack was in a derelict state, with pieces of wood from the floor cracked and missing. We kicked and sold dope out of that shack. The best part about it was that it still had electricity and we were chilling there. Well, in the dream, a snake came out of one of those missing floorboards from under the house. I grabbed the snake by the neck. I made the snake bite down with its fangs on a glass jar and release all of its venom into the receptacle. I then cut the snake's head off and tossed it outside of the shack, along with the venom from the jar. When I woke up from this dream, I couldn't wait to tell the santero. After I found him, I explained my dream to him. He nodded his head as if he was satisfied with the dream. He explained the dream to me. "Esto está muy bueno, muchacho. It's a good dream. It means that the little work that we did the other night is working. As above, so below. The dream took place in the spirit world, but it's going to manifest physically on earth within the next few days." He told me that dreams manifest within 7 days. He told me, for example, if you're out in the streets and you're hustling and you're going to do a transaction in the near future, but you have a dream that a dog bites you, don't do the transaction. Wait for 7 days after this dream. After the 7 days have passed, you can do that transaction. The dream is telling you there might be trouble when you do that deal. Sure enough, as he foretold, after the dream with the snake, I no longer got those dizzy spells anymore. And that led me to continue to go to the Santeria services. I started to put my faith in this man's words and advice. Now, as I was attending these Santeria services, I had a little silver chain with a Star of David as a charm. The reason I had a Star of David as a charm was because I had fraudulently registered myself as a Jewish prisoner so I could eat better. The Jews receive fresh vegetables and cleaner meats compared to the meals that the mainline prisoners receive. And I was doing 10 years, so I wanted to make sure I resurfaced as healthy as possible from doing all that time. But I would not be able to do so on the garbage they fed the convicts on the main line. The brujo convinced me that he could put a spell on the charm and empower it to protect me from evil. He requested that I give it to him on a certain night when there would be a full moon and he needed to do it at a certain time of night. So I gave him the Star of David when he felt the time was right to put the protective spell over it. When he returned the charm to me, he told me, "Don't let nobody else touch that charm. It now belongs to you and you belong to it. Make sure nobody else touches it," he warned me. Now forward a couple of years down the road, and I was being transferred to another federal prison in Fort Worth, Texas. When the time came for my transfer, I went to R&R, receiving and release to transpack all my personal belongings I would be taken to FCI Fort Worth. My things were boxed and would be sent with me to the prison I was being transferred to. When the day came for me to board my flight on Con Air, the federal marshals do a final check on you to make sure that all of your leg irons and handcuffs are correctly locked and secured. They also inspect your body thoroughly. That's when one of the federal marshals seen that I was wearing my necklace with the Star of David that the Bruja had put the spell on. They said it was not allowed for me to wear any jewelry on the flight, so they removed it and told me that it would be sent to the prison I was going to and I would receive it later. I had totally forgotten the Brujo's warning about not letting anybody else touch that charm. So I boarded Con Air. We landed at the Oklahoma Transfer Center. This is a huge institution. It's both an airport and a prison for federal inmates flying in from different prisons across the nation. I stayed there approximately 2 to 3 weeks and then was taken on a bus to Fort Worth with an overlay for a night in a federal prison in Texarkana on the Texas-Arkansas border. I finally arrived at Fort Worth, Texas and met other homies, Sureños, Southsiders, from back home in LA and from other parts of the country. I quickly adopted a routine. I would work out in the morning, go to my job at the prison hospital in the afternoon, sometimes go to the chapel and listen to music or watch movies, and hang out with the homies on the yard in the evening after chow. I was programming for 3 months at FCI Fort Worth when one day in the afternoon, I heard my name being called to report to R&R. I had no idea why I was being called there for, and it caught me by surprise. I went to R&R and they gave me a very small envelope. I had no idea what was in it. I took it back to my cell and opened it up. It was my little chain with the Star of David on it. So without a second thought, I just simply put it around my neck and continued with my day. By the time it was count time in the evening around 8 o'clock, everyone returned to their cells for the night. That's when I started noticing a little bit of pain on my back and shoulder. It was subtle at first, but within an hour, I couldn't even lay on my back from that pain. It was difficult to sleep. I couldn't sleep on my side, on my back, or stomach. I was in extreme pain. I thought maybe I injured myself working out earlier. I couldn't figure it out. I was fucked up bad and continued to be in pain for a long time. I put in a slip to sick call, but in prison, you'll soon be dead before a doctor actually sees you. I received pain medication. I stretched, but it was not getting any better. I was in such terrible pain at night from laying on my back that I actually had to sleep sitting down holding a pillow on the desk me and my cellie shared. The pain persisted. I fell into a deep depression. I could no longer work out. I stayed in my cell a lot and read. I felt vulnerable. I never thought about myself as the roughest or the toughest dude in the world, but in my full faculties, I know nobody's just gonna fuck with me. See, in prison, there's always a chance of confrontation, and you have to be ready for physical battle. For instance, someone bumps into you and doesn't apologize. In that type of situation, it's do or die. So I avoided as much interaction as possible, because if a motherfucker disrespects me, I'm gonna have to deal with it regardless. And like I said, I'm not the toughest or the roughest, but I am crafty, and my evilness has helped me survive many battles. I continued in this state for approximately 5 to 6 months. I would spend a lot of time with an older man in my cell block. His hustle was to make food for all the ballers in prison for a small fee, Mr. Carranza. He was a lifer, a paisa from Michoacan. This man could make menudo out of pork skins and corn nuts. He treated the corn nuts somehow to make them soft like hominy and made the pork skins texture and taste just like cow stomach, which is what menudo was made out of. His company was the only comfort to me during this period. He was full of wisdom, and his words had a way of soothing my worries. He would tell me in Spanish, "No, Maldonado, usted va a estar bien. Do the stretches I told you, and go see my paisano, para que lo sobe. Él sobaba caballos." So he recommended me to his friend to get a chiropractic type of massage. His friend from Mexico that used to massage horses, but I ain't no horse. That man pulled me and yanked me and stretched me and put me through so much pain like he was doing an exorcism on me or something. During this time, of course, I was not working out, and that was part of my frustration and my depression. I needed that workout to release stress. I always told others, if you want to release stress, go work out. If you want to release anxiety, read a book. Even though I could not work out with the weights like I used to, I would walk on the prison track to get some kind of exercise. Besides weights, I enjoyed running. I would run 4 miles every other day. I tried to run, but that was out of the question. I tried jogging, but even light jogging causes your body to hop up and down, and when you're injured, it's like taking a beating. When you're healthy, you don't realize that, but when you're injured, it's a different ball game. So I simply walked on the track. About 6 months into this derelict condition, I decided to take a walk on the prison track. I think I had walked for no more than a quarter of the track when I suddenly felt that necklace fall from around my neck. I felt it fall off. And if you've ever had a necklace fall from around your neck, you'll feel it. You'll stop walking, take back a step or two and pick it up. If you had a charm on the chain, the charm is usually going to still be on the necklace because it's the center of gravity when it drops. It pulls the chain downward like an anchor. But in this case, I immediately found the chain, but the little Star of David was nowhere to be found. Mind you, this is a little tiny thin silver chain, and the Star of David was just a small light. How could it have freed itself from the chain during the drop? I couldn't understand it, and even though it was basically a very cheap little piece of jewelry, it was still mine, and I wanted it back. I was not walking on grass or dirt. I was walking on the concrete track, and it was very wide, and it was a blacktop, so it would have been very easy to find. I looked and looked for that little Star of David. I must have been looking for it like a crackhead looking for a crumb on the floor. I searched for a very long time until the whistle blew and it was yard recall. I had to abandon my search. I looked on the track. I looked on the grass bordering the track on both sides. Nothing. I went back to myself wondering how the hell that little Star of David could have magically freed itself from the chain and disappeared into thin air. During the final count for the night, I was still wondering how that little Star of David could have disappeared. But then I noticed something else. I noticed I was breathing easier, and I wasn't thinking about my pain. As a matter of fact, I didn't feel any pain. I lay down on my bunk and I felt no pain. I jumped back onto my feet so spontaneously that it actually startled my cellie. He looked at me and I excitedly told him, "I don't feel any more pain. I'm good, homie." I started jogging in place, jumping up and down. I lay back down on my bunk, got back up. I went to the door and shouted and banged on the door like a fool. I was healed, and that night I finally understood the cause of my pain and how ignorant I was to its origin. When that brujo put that spell on that charm, he specifically told me, "Don't let anybody else touch this charm. It now belongs to you and you belong to it." I was listening, but I wasn't paying attention to the extent that I should have. He was basically warning me, and it all makes sense to me now. Thinking months back to the moment I first put that chain back around my neck after receiving it from R&R, that was the moment my torment began. And after losing it on the yard, that was the moment my torment ended. I was miraculously healed. I know it was God supernaturally taking that cursed object away from me. But he was patient and let me suffer for a while to see if I would figure it out on my own. I feel like God finally had pity on me and said, "You big dummy, you don't even realize what's causing you all of this suffering. But I like your dumb ass, and I'm going to set you free today." And just like that, the necklace broke, fell off from around my neck, and that Star of David magically vanished into thin air. He removed it from me and freed me from that hex, and I was miraculously healed that same day after months of suffering. So let this be a word to the wise. Be careful with who and what you mess around with, especially things of the spiritual domain. Take it from me, I know.